For over a year, nobody wanted him. Shelter visitors left with bite marks instead of a new pet, and staff described him as a hostile work environment wrapped in a fur coat.
Okay.
And yet, one woman looked at his file and knew, without a doubt, that he was coming home with her. This is the story of Rick Oliver James, a cat so committed to being difficult that he somehow became impossible not to love.
I'll come back later? All right.
Rick's story didn't start out angry. He'd once belonged to a family who adored him until his owner had to move into assisted living and could no longer keep him. From there, he landed at Talbot Humane in Maryland, and that's where things got complicated. Month after month passed with no applications. People who did stop by often left with scratches, and eventually, they stopped stopping by at all. A year is a long time for any animal to wait in a shelter. For a cat with a reputation like his, it must have felt endless. Meanwhile, across town, Brittany Elizabeth was dealing with a loss of her own. She'd recently lost her cats and felt an ache where their presence used to be. As someone who's autistic, she'd come to understand just how much her pets helped regulate her. She missed that steady, grounding presence that matters so much for a neurodivergent mind. She was looking for that feeling again when she saw the shelter's post, a cat, unapologetically grumpy, in need of a home. Something about his energy clicked instantly. She didn't see a problem. She saw her guy. She brought Rick Oliver James home, and one dramatic episode of his life was over, but another one started for both of them.
I'll come back later? All right.
Rick greeted his new life with hissing, followed by a growl so deep and guttural that Brittany questioned whether she'd made a huge mistake.
You're too cute. You want to cuddlies? Oh. Instant no about the cuddles. Do you want a rubby? Oh, baby. You're okay.
For the first few days, he mostly hid, emerging only to hiss some more. But Brittany gave him all the time he needed, letting him explore the apartment on his own pace, reading all the useful advice from the people who followed this dramatic journey on Instagram, and doing everything to make this guy feel comfortable.
It's a nice chair for your sitting. Do some sitting. Nice sunlight here. You want to do some sunlight sitting? Or hissing? Whatever's clever. You could jump up there and hang out. Yeah. Success.
Finally, underneath the drama, Brittany noticed flickers of curiosity. Whenever she stopped paying attention to him, he'd wander over just to check in, as if he couldn't quite stand being ignored either. Slowly, the hissing faded, the growling stopped, and the cat once almost labeled unadoptable turned into something soft and affectionate. This transformation still makes Brittany emotional when she thinks about it.
Hello, kitties. Hi. What are you doing? Hi.
She doesn't really think of him as a pet, more like a roommate she happens to love deeply. She's made it her mission to follow his lead, trusting that his experience of the world is every bit as real and valid as her own.
Rick Oliver James Abundance Tirawak S. Williams, what are you doing?
Of course, living with Rick means accepting a few unsolved mysteries. Chief among them, his bizarre attachment to the bathtub.
What is this activity? What does this give you? You are so cute. You can get away with things because you're cute. That's the problem. What's that? Maybe I need to start putting some toys in here for you. Do you want to have some balls in here you could play with?
Brittany assumed it was about the running water, but no. He simply enjoys being in there, water or not, for reasons known only to him.
Oh, it's my baby. I'm telling you my baby because I literally have let no one else in this bathtub. No one. Partners, friends, no one. Everybody got to use the other bathroom.
He's also gone quiet in his own way. The growls are gone, replaced by a meow so faint it's almost silent, and Brittany has a theory that he's simply mirroring her. She speaks to him gently, so he answers just as gently back. But nowhere was Rick's personality more on display than at the vet. He made it clear immediately that he hated absolutely everyone in the building. The vet spent the appointment alternating between low growls and dramatic howls of protest, completely unbothered by the noise as he carried on with the exam. By the time they got home, Rick's rage had cooled into something more like simmering resentment, expressed through a series of pointed side-eyes that lasted for days.
Would you like to discuss this behavior? Oh.
Officially, it was a 0 out of 10 experience according to Rick Oliver James. Brittany, on the other hand, gave it a perfect 10. The exams were done, no one got killed, and this angry little guy eventually forgave her for everything. So, it was a success.
Oh, we're so cute and darling. But you have murder in your eyes. Deep in the eye sockets. Okay, bye.
Despite the grumbling, the growling, and the general disdain for anyone who isn't Brittany, life with Rick Oliver James has become something she genuinely treasures. She enjoys learning his quirks, laughing at his moods, and simply having him around.
I can see in your eyes that a chomp is being considered. You ain't fooling me, brother. Oh, now we're just watching Tom and Jerry. So interesting. Please get your bite out of the way so I can go back to relaxing. Why are you this way?
And for anyone who has ever lost a pet and worried they could never love another one the same way, Brittany offers a piece of hard-won wisdom. A new animal doesn't replace the one you lost. They will always have a place in your heart. Instead, a new pet finds a place of their own, and somehow you end up loving them every bit as fiercely.
Look what that toe is doing. Look at that foot right there. Look at it, so cute. Let's just bent on the thingies. I love it so much.
These days, when Rick curls up somewhere in the house, hissing behind him and side eyes reserved just for the vet, he looks, more than anything, deeply content. A cat, once dismissed as too much trouble, turned out to be exactly the right amount, for the one person patient enough to see past the growl and straight to the soul underneath. He looks so content with himself. Yeah, I'm talking about you. You're the baby.